All right, everybody. So we are looking at the second half of this worksheet. Yesterday you did numbers 1 through 26, or sorry, 24, and today we're going to do 25 through 41. All right. So again, I'm going to go through this with you a bit and try out some problems, and then you can always ask me questions on the Google Meet if you need to. Okay, so I'm taking a look at 25 through 27 here. They're asking us to find the values of x and Y, okay, both of them. All right. One thing, when we took the notes for this section, you guys did problems just like this where we were finding X and Y, and these are very, very similar to that. All right. So let's see. Which one do I want to do? I guess let's start out by let's do 26 together. Okay. So maybe leave yourself a little room for 25, and let's try out 26. Okay, first things first, if you haven't printed this out, you'll have to copy these angles on your problem. I want to see you copy the angles because it's necessary. Okay, so on 26, here is what I'm wondering. Should I find X first or Y first? All right, taking a look at my angles, this one has an X in it, this one has an X in it, this one has a Y in it. All right, we cannot find Y right now because to find Y, we would have to at least know what the measure of this angle is, and we don't. Okay, but we do have two angles that have X in them, and here's what I notice about these two angles. This angle and this angle make a flat line. All right, technically they're considered a linear pair. All right, and here's another word, a linear pair are supplementary. All right, which means they add to 180 degrees. Whether you remember those words or not, I really just need you to realize, oh, flat line, these add to 180. That's the big thing. Okay, and that's going to be my equation I can make. So I'm going to say that this angle, the 6x minus 11, plus this angle, 2x minus 9, which, by the way, notice when I'm making my equation, I'm not using the parentheses, I'm not using the little degree signs. So you can just forget about those when you write your equation. Okay, and I know that those two angles, when added together, equals 180 degrees. Okay, and sorry, don't need the degrees. Okay, so from here, we can solve this equation. We can figure out what x equals, right? So let's go ahead and do it. So 6x and a 2x, by the way, they're already on the same side of the equal sign, so we can just go ahead and combine them. We'll get an 8x. Negative 11 and negative 9 combine to get a negative 20. Be careful on that. Okay, and then equals 180. So from here, we can now solve for x. Looks like we have to get rid of this minus 20 first by adding 20. So we've got 8x equals 200, and then we can divide both sides by 8. Okay, and if I'm going too quickly, feel free to pause the video and catch up with me. I just don't want to waste too much time while making this video. All right, and then 8 goes into 225 times. Okay, and remember, you can use a calculator in this class. Feel free to. All right, so there's half my answer. I just figured out what x equals. Wonderful. Now I can go ahead and figure out what y equals. All right, here's just one thing or I guess a couple things to point out. Obviously, I want to use this angle right here, right? That's the one that has y. So here's the thing. I have options. I can make an equation out of this angle and this angle because they're vertical angles, and I know vertical angles are congruent. Here's another thing I could do. I could say that this angle plus this angle equals 180 degrees because they make a flat line. Either way I do this problem, I'm going to end up with the same answer. So I always just say, do whatever looks easiest or do whatever comes to mind first. All right. I like vertical angles because I like that they're equal to one another. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set these equal. So yeah, off to the side, I'm just going to do it over here. All right, I know that this angle, 6x minus 11, is equal to this angle, 20y plus 19. All right, here's the nice thing now. I know what x is. I can plug it in, and I won't have two variables. I'll just have y to solve for. So let's go ahead and do it. 6 times 25 minus 11 equals, all of this is just going to come down, 20y plus 19. All right, so we got some, I guess, some simplifying we can do. We can do this math over here. So I'm going to do this all in one step. 6 times 25 is 150. 150 minus 11 is 139. Calculators are your friends. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to bring this down Okay, now I've done all of my simplifying, all of my just, math I can do here. Now I can actually start solving for y. All right, so I noticed we got this 20, we got this 19. We know we need to get rid of the 19 first because we deal with addition or subtraction first, right? All right, so I'm gonna have to scoot down. All right, so 139 minus 19 gives me 120 on the left. On the right, those are gone. I have 20y. Now I can get rid of 20 by dividing both sides. And 20 goes into 126 times. Okay, so I'm going to get 6 equals y. I'm going to flip it around, save myself a step, y equals 6. Okay, and there's my other answer. Okay, just I always skim back and when I find variables and I think, oh, is that all they asked me to do is find x and y? Yeah, it is. Just look out, sometimes these problems want you to plug back in and actually find the measure of these angles. It's not happening on these now. Okay, so these right here, these are the problems. Like if you can do this right here, this entire worksheet is a cinch. And the test, when we eventually take it, is going to be pretty doable for you. All right, so yeah, you can do 25 and 27 on your own. If you want to pause the video and try them out, I'm going to move on to the next section. Okay, so from here, these next few problems are, I guess, 28 through 31 are saying that angles A and B are complementary. Find the measure of angle A and the measure of angle B. All right, so the big thing, since these angles are complementary, remember that means they add to 90 degrees. Okay, so don't let the way that these problems are written out kind of throw you off. The idea is that this angle plus this angle equals 90. That's my equation to solve for x, and then I'll be able to plug them back in and get it. All right, so let's go ahead and do 28 together. You don't need to write out these problems because we're going to be making equations with these numbers anyway. All right, so for 28, let's go ahead and write that we know that this angle, x, plus this angle, x minus 30, equals 90. Okay, and again, that's what you're going to do with all 4 of these problems here. All right, and now we can solve for x. So just combining my like terms, an x and an x gives me a 2x minus 30 equals 90. All right, looks like now to solve for x, I'm going to add 30 and divide by 2. Okay, so 2x equals 120, and dividing by 2, half of 120 looks like x equals 60. All right, so with that, now we can plug them back in and actually get our answers. All right, we have some easy values on this, so it's kind of nice. If I plug x in for angle A, I'm getting that angle A equals 60. So there's one of my answers. So I'm going to say angle A equals 60 degrees. All right, for angle B, if I plug in x, I'm going to get 60 minus 30. I could probably just do that in my head. I know 60 minus 30 is 30, and that means that angle B is, yeah, 30 degrees. Okay, and those are my answers. Okay, by the way, if you're doing this work on the worksheet, you might need to use the side of it or maybe even potentially a separate sheet of paper to show this work. They don't give you probably enough room. All right, one thing I want to point out, I found out that angle A was 60 degrees. I could have found out that angle B was 30 degrees without even looking at it because I know that these are complementary angles. They added 90. If this is 60, I knew this had to be 30. I wouldn't even have to do the math. Okay, start using those shortcuts. Okay, when you guys get down to the next section, it's the exact same idea. The only difference is that these angles are, supplementary, okay, meaning they're going to add to 180 degrees. All right, so on number 32, you'll say x plus 3x equals 180, and then you'll solve. After you find x, you'll plug them back in and you'll get the measures. Okay, so I'm going to leave those to you. All right, the last part of this, don't be afraid of the words. I know we don't deal with a lot of word problems in this class so far, but these problems are actually really simple. On number 36, let me just break it down. Baseball. It says the foul lines of a baseball field intersect at home plate to form a right angle, right? Foul lines, they're telling me they hit the home plate at a 90-degree right angle. So if you want to draw this on your paper, we got a nice right angle here. Okay, it says you hit a baseball whose path forms a angle of 40 degrees with the third base foul line. Okay, so here's the path of your baseball. Here's the third base foul line. what is the angle between the first base foul line and the path of the ball? So what their question is, by the way, let me make this look a little better. Nice right angle. Okay, so they're basically asking, what's the measure of this angle? Okay, I'm going to leave it to you. If this is a right angle and this is 64 degrees, what does the other one have to be? Answer it. Okay, getting down to the next one, it says a stair railing is designed as shown in the figure. So this is a stair railing. Okay, it says use the angles identified in the figure to name two pairs of the indicated type of angle pairs. Okay, so we got complementary angles, supplementary, vertical, linear pair, and adjacent angles, words that we have learned and used for the past few days. All right, I'm going to leave most of these to you, but just some quick reminders. Complementary angles, add to 90 degrees. Actually, I'm going to put it above. Okay, supplementary angles, two angles that add to 180 degrees. Okay, which by the way means they make a flat line is a one way of thinking about it. Though actually, we'll look at that one. Yeah, we'll look at that one. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite one another. They reflect one another, and they are congruent. They are equal to one another. Okay, a linear pair are two angles that make a flat line like this. Okay, they also add to 180. Right, and last thing is adjacent angles. We saw this on the very first problems from yesterday's worksheet. Adjacent angles, they are angles like this. They share a vertex and they also share a common side. Okay, so these two angles would be considered adjacent angles. Common vertex, common side length. Okay, so go ahead and take a look over here and find those types of angles. I said I was going to look over supplementary angles, but I'm going to leave that to you. Remember, supplementary angles, two angles that add to 180. There's a lot of options here. All right, just one thing to point out inside of this picture here. These right angles are really important because let me show you what they actually do. Since this is a right angle, I know that since all of this makes a flat line, I know that this is also a right angle. Okay, and that means I know that this is also a right angle. All right, and we're going to assume that these lines are parallel. We'll get into this more in the future. You'll see, but we can assume that these are all 90-degree angles. 90-degree angles in here, right? And yeah, that's enough for you guys to be able to find your answers here. Okay, so yeah, as always, if you have any questions on any of these problems, I am on Google Meet. Ask me questions, and I'll talk to you guys later.